Welcome to another edition of the Dental Today podcast. Thank you for stopping by. This is brought to you by LabMediatv. My name is Hezekiah Morales, and here we go. Remember to follow us on social media at LabMediatv.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Dental Today podcast. We are here with Mr. Dane Barlow in Chicago. Today is the Sunday right after the show. Dane, thank you for sitting with us. How are you today?
I'm doing great.
So good to see you.
Great to see you. Hello.
How was the show for you?
The show was good. I mean, it's always good. There's never enough time. Never enough time to see all the people and shake enough hands and have enough conversations. But what I like about Chicago is that every time I get to see you guys or a familiar face, I get to at least spend a couple minutes talking, shaking a hand, or even just share a smile. And this is the one place where I know all my friends are going to come once a year, and from all over the world sometimes, and even Latin America, where I get to sit down with you guys and have a conversation and share a smile or a drink or a meal. So it's great to be here. I love coming.
When did you fly in?
I came in early Thursday morning. I usually try to get here a day earlier, and so what ended up happening, because I was worried about flights, if sometimes you just don't get in. So I took a red eye and from LA so that I could be here early Thursday morning. I just slept on the plane. So I knew if I was the first airplane in, there's no problem in being able to land. Eventually I would be able to get in. It's those later flights sometimes where you get held up in Minneapolis or Denver or some other location, and then you don't end up getting into town. So that worked out best for me this time.
That's so good. And we're at the beginning of the year. Well, it's at the end of February. Beginning of the end of the first trimester of the year. A lot of people, we set up goals. We set goals, and sometimes after the first week, the first month, the first 2 months, we fall off.
That's true.
Fall off for whatever reason. Dane, I would like for you to share a little bit. What is your process at the beginning of the year, and how do you manage to accomplish what you set yourself up to do, in spite of the fact that you're constantly traveling, you're constantly being pulled in 10 different directions, yet at the end of the year you look back and you accomplish these things? Please share a little bit on that.
This is one of my favorite subjects, actually, and this is the time of the year where people realize, oh, I didn't fulfill my goals. I'm not dieting, or I'm not exercising. It could be these simple, somewhat trivial things. But also people are setting goals for their careers, for their lives, for their families, and people think of a goal as just this idea. I want to do this thing, and it's not as simple as just a thing and a thought. You have to have a process. So when you accomplish goals and you're trying to take an idea, something that's non-tangible, and then you do a bunch of tangible items to accomplish that goal, right? You have to understand that it's a process. Goal setting is a process. It's sitting down and reflecting and looking at what's been done in the past, where failures may have occurred or where you've slacked off, and then trying to figure out the new direction you're headed, what adjustments you're making, and then how you're going to keep yourself accountable to that. And so really, when you have goal, I have a simple process, and the first one is to sit down and to write a dream goal, right? Oftentimes my dream goals are 5-10 years down the road. It's not something I'm going to do this year, but I've also set dream goals, things that I think are nearly impossible that I want to accomplish this year. And so I think it's important to write something down that, if you were to go for it and you failed, you're going to be ecstatic that you attempted it, that you came close, or and sometimes you hit it. Like I've set dream goals and then I've done them, and I thought, man, I thought that was impossible. I truly believed it was impossible, but I did the things it takes to build my belief in myself. And so that gets me to the reason why and how I set goals. I set the dream goal, and then I break that down into task requirements. What has to be done this year? I'll try to find 4 or 5 items, right? And those 4 or 5 items are going to take several months each, right? In order to hit that goal at the end of the year, I have to know what 4 or 5 items would need to be accomplished. And the easy thing is say it's in jiu-jitsu. Okay, my dream goal, I want to be ranked number 1 or win the world championship, right? That's a dream goal. When I set that goal, I didn't know it was possible. But I said, well, if I wanted to do that, what do I have to do? Well, you got to probably win in Brazil. You got to win in your own state, right? You got to win in your own town. And you have to win in a region or you have to win in a nation. So I set up my tasks. I was going to win my state championship. I was going to win the national championship. I was going to win the U.S. Open, the America Cup, and the Pan Ams, which is like the pilgrimage of jiu-jitsu, right? Everybody's going to show up for the Pan Ams. And so you'll have more people competing at Pans than you do at Worlds, because it's where everybody wants to go see their friends. Like, they go even if they know they're going to lose, right? At Worlds, you go because you're going to win, or you think you're going to win. And so what I try to discover is, what does it take to be the guy who arrives that day a winner, right? What do I have to do so that I've qualified, and I know with confidence that I did everything it takes this year to be on that podium. And so whatever your dream goal, whatever your podium is, what is it going to take for you to be that champion, that person who qualified himself? And so oftentimes it could be work ethic, it could be meal plans. Sometimes you're breaking this game down into the most simple things possible. And dentistry is the same way. Whatever you want to accomplish in dentistry, being an excellent ceramist or doing lectures or teaching courses, where do I want to teach and where do I want to expand my brand? And so by setting these dream goals and then setting the targets for what you use to complete those is where you're going to find out how to build your belief. So I decided I was going to go to the state championship. I trained every day. I won. Right? Then I went to a competition. I realized, if I'm going to do any better, I'm going to watch my diet. And then I got second place for a long time. For many years, it was like a year and a half. I got second place everywhere I went. What was the difference between being almost and accomplishing your goal? And so I had to start training with the Olympic wrestlers. And with them, I was changing the way that I worked out, changing the tools I used in my daily workouts. And then I went to the Las Vegas International Championship, and I took double gold medalist. And then I won the individual championship for all your gold medalists when they compete. And so that was something I did that also built my belief. Suddenly, not only did I go from being an almost back to being gold and being champion of champions that day, the absolute champion. And so with that, I started to see, I won my state. Now I won a regional, right? Maybe I could possibly pull off winning the U.S. Open. Maybe I could win Pan someday, right? So I started seeing that I could do more than I originally believed I could. And maybe it's today I can't do a 21 or 30 powder buildup, right? That looks amazing on the single fire, right? And then polishing my hand or something. But can I do it in 3 steps? Can I find out what's needed inside that tooth and layer each individual step and have a beautiful looking tooth? Could I do a beautiful monolithic, and then could I learn to cut that back, do a monolithic and a layering strategy? And then could I practice? So with purposeful practice as well in dentistry, you will get better at what you do. It can't just be, I'm showing up for work every day. What are you doing after the lights are turned off? How many hours are you spending in practical application of your talents, and improving those talents? And what thought processes are you putting into discovering your materials and documenting that history of materials and what it looks like in the mouth? And these are the things that very often amongst employees, they're not doing. I don't see employees investing in themselves. If I don't get paid for it, I'm not going to do it. That education, I got to pay for that? Well, your boss could pay for everything. And they don't necessarily pay you to be perfect right now, but if you became better, they would pay more. And so, I go through that battle with employees. I go through that battle with people all the time that don't work for me who are asking advice. And I have to say, what are you doing to invest in yourself? Are you worth more than you were yesterday? And when an employee says, hey, I can do more work if you give me more money, all right, you've been robbing me. I'm sorry. All this, if you could have done more and you've been holding back, you've robbed me. Like, I've been trying to pay you, good money to give me what you got and your talents, and you've been holding that back, just to use it against me. I feel that if you come from that standpoint, you're going to work really hard for that extra money for about 2 months, and then you're going to back off again. And so when that conversation usually comes up, I know somebody's got 6 months to a year left, and they're either going to go away or I'm going to have to let them go because I pay them more, and all of a sudden their production goes back to where they were comfortable. And so don't do that. Set your standards high, go teach yourself, invest in yourself so that you're worth more. And when people see you're worth more, now you can negotiate. I did this, and this to get better what I am, and that's why I'm worth more now. And that's how the negotiation should be done. It shouldn't be, hey, if you paid me more, I'd do more. No, you got to invest in yourself, especially with digital right now. If you want to learn digital, set the dream goal of being a master digital ceramist or technician. And then do everything it takes. Learn exocad, learn 3Shape, learn dental wings, learn different products in lab, and get good at those products. Spend time after hours getting even better. Learn how to do it quicker. You did a case today. All right, now redo that case in after hours, starting from scratch, and see if you can do it better or faster. Right? Better or faster. If you can do it the same way faster, great. Now you're making money or investing in yourself. If you make it even better, which I guarantee if you do something again the second time just to see if you can improve upon it, you're going to do it better. And that's going to teach you things you can take to the next case. And so that's how I would break down those goals. Set a dream goal, set tasks, and then within those tasks, you write down what it's going to take to get there. Diet, buy the ticket, the registration, get there, go to the educational event, find one of those cases, do a cosmetic case, do a better cosmetic case. And then, over the next 6 months, what's next? You start to hit those tasks. What you do as you start to accomplish your task is you start to gain knowledge in yourself that when you perform these activities, you're going to get these results. And when you do that over and over and over again, what you get is wisdom, right? You take knowledge and through the repeat process of developing knowledge, you gain wisdom. So that would be the big difference between having knowledge and having wisdom. Like wisdom is that practical application of the knowledge you have. It's not just knowing something, it's understanding it. And I would put that along the lines of not everything you design in CAD/CAM can be milled, right? You can probably print just about anything, but then you have printing accuracy issues. But if you design something and the angles are so contrary to each other on either side of the occlusal table, you won't be able to mill that. You won't be able to nest it. You're going to have to go back and redesign. And you can spend a lot of hours redesigning something from ideal to what's acceptable. Like, I just need this to just get milled. So now I just got to move these angles to the less than ideal, but no other milling machine can mill the right angles that you need. So you're either going to be hand processing certain parts that are left out of the mill, or you need to redesign. And so I've done that process of redesign. And in doing that, gain the knowledge of, okay, now when I design, I know the limitations of the mill, and I can't set that angle. Or I got to know I may have to redesign this if I'm pushing the line. That's wisdom. Knowledge is, that this may or may not work, or there it is. But wisdom is understanding that through repeated efforts, I can't always mill what I design. And now I know, okay, I have to completely change that design before I ever get there. And so in that process of gaining knowledge and turning that knowledge into wisdom, you build belief in yourself. And so when it comes time to that final activity, for me it was the World Championship. When I stepped on that mat, I knew I'd done everything that it requires. I did everything I said I would do. I did all the workouts, all the meal plans, and I'd lost a bunch, many years until I got to that point. And that day that I got ranked number one, when I won the Pan Am gold medal, it was a very culminating event. But I got there with so much confidence that I knew today I wasn't going to be nervous. Like, I don't have to be nervous today. I've done everything it takes to qualify. If you're going to interview for a job with someone, have you done everything it takes to qualify? If you're going to get your dream job, and you show up that day and there's 6 other applicants there and they're going to show their designs, what do you have? What have you invested in yourself to prove that on this day you don't have to be nervous? Let those guys be nervous. Let them choke up in their interview, because they don't exactly know what to say. But if you've done everything that you're supposed to do and you're qualified that day, you're going to have the confidence to sit back and talk about the things you know, and share some of your wisdom. And that passion, that's where you're going to get the things that you're looking for. So anyway, in that day at Pans, nobody scored a point against me. And it's not very often that you can go into competition and say that today everybody I fought in that huge lineup, everybody who fought other people, nobody scored a point against me. And and I won the gold medal. That was a really good eye-opening experience for me. And I handled everything that day like science, from the amount of water that I took in between my matches, limiting myself to 8 to 12 ounces, because I knew that your body only absorbs a certain amount of moisture within a half hour before I might fight again. And anything extra is going to be in your stomach. The blood flow is messed up. You start to lose dexterity. I don't want to have those problems. So I've worked out all these problems, all the weird science stuff about being in competition that most people wouldn't pay attention to. Getting the right sleep, eating the right meals, and then hydrating properly in between, not overhydrating, not underhydrating. But the confidence that came with that, it was like it stood still. The competition stood still. And I could see well in advance of everything they were trying to do. I just understood. I was in the flow and I was in the zone. And in dentistry and what we do, from oral surgery to immediate load cases, working with prosthodontists. I'm working with Boise prosthodontists now, I think some of the greatest prosthodontists that we have in our region, if not in the United States. And I'm gaining a lot of knowledge from them. But I'm working with championship teams, and in that you find people who are a lot like you, who do set goals, who do accomplish things. And I think that dentistry, you can look at anything in life like a game. It's the game that we play. If you study and get good at it, then you take money home and then you go to your family. I'd say the only thing that isn't a game in life is your family. And we as technicians have a tendency to not give the proper place to our family and to our own personal health. You'll remember when I was telling you about world championships in jiu-jitsu, I slept. I ate the right meals. For you to do your best work, you can't be working more than 40 hours a week. You can't be tired on Monday. You have to be excited to get back to dentistry on Monday. And this is something that we have absolute control over. Back off that I have to be Superman, right? Yeah, I know you can, because I've done it too. You want to come work with me 100 hours a week? Because I've done it, I'll do 120. Can you work a 36-hour shift, 6 hours sleep, 36-hour shift, 6 hours sleep, and repeatedly do this? I'll work with the best of you. But is my work going to be my best? No. That's when you start messing with your own head. You start messing with your own quality. If you want to do what's right for your business and for your own technique and skills, you have to rest. You have to be hungry for dentistry on Monday. So the only way that's going to be accomplished is go home, see your family, raise your kids. This is something I have to constantly work on and reevaluate, make sure that I'm there all the time. And I got amazing kids. My kids know that I love them. They send me messages while I'm away. We have very good interpersonal communication. They're all getting older now. And I don't regret once the amount of time I spent with them. I don't regret once the days I just left work to go hang out with them. The reason I built a lab in my house was that when I saw them come home from work and I'm looking out the window, I would leave, go out, spend some time with them, and then I let them know, hey, it's going to be a few more minutes and wrap something up. But having a lab with a studio built out, not in my house. I had my own little building at the house. And that way I was closing a door. And I left work at home or at the office, and home stayed with home. And I didn't have to mix those two. It was like shutting a door in my brain. So do what it takes to set goals to stay healthy, and to do what's required to be great, excellent technicians. To be at the top, it's going to require balance. And so find that balance. So the only other thing I could add to that to wrap this up is that when you decide what those dream goals are, you have to write them down. You have to write them down, write down the tasks. You have to read those goals every morning, because you need to know, today am I going to do the things it requires to hit these goals. And then you have to look back at those goals at night and say, did I do everything it takes today to be the man who's in those goals? If I'm going to affirm myself to be this person, this level of technician or competitor in whatever industry I'm in, I have to know and hold myself accountable every single day. That can be part of your meditation. That can be, if you're religious, that's part of your prayer. Am I the man that it takes to do these things, or woman? Because I don't mean to leave that out, but women are excellent technicians and are capable of everything that men are. But the point is, are you doing what it takes? Are you doing what it takes? And if you ask yourself every day, then you're holding yourself accountable. You get to say, man, I let myself down. What I learned in jiu-jitsu is how to tap out. Today I didn't do what it takes. Okay, all I control is what you're doing now, or you have the hope for tomorrow. When you wake up tomorrow and you read those goals, yesterday I had to tap out because I didn't keep my goals and I didn't keep my process. But today I'm going to do better, right? Tapping out is the opportunity to prevent an injury and start again. And in jiu-jitsu, you're going to tap out many times. You're going to restart many times in one practice. But if I were to tap out, I failed, I'm done, and then you leave, you would never get good at jiu-jitsu. If you screw up on a case or an application or something, a case goes out and you're not happy with it, all right, doesn't matter, because you're going to tap out. You're going to hopefully fix it, But you can tap out, and tomorrow you're just not going to make the same mistakes. Every day it's step by step. Everybody's everybody's steps are small, right? And you see somebody taking big steps, good for them. That's his race. It's not yours. Be on the marathon. Take small steps. And I used to look at teeth, and I would work just on centrals. Just all I'm going to work on this month is try to be better at my centrals. And then I spent a whole month on laterals, a whole month on canines, right? It might just be as simple as the form, right, or contours. And then down the road it's like, well, I'm going to work on my layering, just my layering on centrals. I'm gonna shoot for this type of dynamic, and I'm going to go for it. Every day you're working on that. And don't put my focus on the whole smile. Like smile design, and I'm doing full mouth rehab cases with engineering and implants involved, as well as the cosmetics, AECD standard cosmetics. And so you don't hit that in a day. I didn't hit it in a day. It took me years and long hours. What I can do in 3 or 4 hours now used to take me 12 hours. I used to judge myself for that. You can't judge yourself because you're getting better every day. You don't just look back every day and say, oh man, I haven't gotten very far. No, don't look back yet. Go a little bit further. Every time you think in the beginning you want to look back, just go a little bit further. Because eventually what happens is I want you to then look back, maybe 6 months, maybe it's only 3 months or 4 months. Then look back at where you've come. You start to realize that you're getting far enough away that it's almost just as scary to go back to what's safe as it is to keep on going to what you have ahead of you. And so I would encourage you to push forward to what's coming up. And the reward, even if you don't completely get to what you thought you were in that year, the reward for attempting it is worth it. We all have pain in life, right? There's the pain of change, or there's the pain of regret. And I would assure you that the pain of regret hurts you much worse. But that pain of change, doing what it takes, doing the hard thing so that you can get there, is well worth it. And I've had a lot of experiences, but all of this applies to dental. All of this applies to each of you. It applies to all aspects of life, and discipline will traverse all aspects of your life. If you're disciplined with how you layer teeth, you'll become a disciplined father. You'll keep the house cleaner. You'll participate actively in being a husband or a mother. You'll figure out what it takes to create processes within the family, just like you do processes at work that help you function better as a family. And something I think that we miss with our families is taking time to do self-evaluations. We do it in our companies. We'll sit down and look at the numbers, the demographics. What have we accomplished? What did we do? What are the analytics of what you're building up? And you're making changes. We're changing our products. We're switching to digital. We're coming up with digital strategies, digital ecospheres, something DHC Computers has always taught me about. The digital is that it's an environment, an ecosystem that's digital, and every part of it has to function together. Well, your company has to be the same way. Your ceramics have to be the same way, but so does your home. When you leave, that's when you're working on yourself. That's when you're giving yourself the health it requires to come back tomorrow and do it again. And the weekends are where you get hungry. You spend your time at the weekend doing the things you love, and you leave dentistry out of your mind, and then all of a sudden Mondays come, oh, I'm excited to get back to dental. And so self-evaluate. Sit down with your families and ask your kids their opinions, what they think, and what are we doing good, what are we doing bad, what can be improved upon. And if you're having that open, honest communication, then you're going to make those improvements. Open, honest communication with yourself, with people at the lab, is going to help you make improvements. Knowing how to respond to people, because some people see critique as like, oh man, that guy's a critic, he just hates me, right? And I'm a creative thinker, so somebody I feel is judging me, I'm like, oh man, I suck, I can't do this, oh it's terrible, man. It might ruin my whole day, but it's not. But you have to realize they have no power over you, and it's just feedback. Every critic is feedback. So just look into it and ask yourself, what's the feedback that they just gave me? What can I learn from that to better my work? And if you can see every comment as feedback and then drop the baggage, go back to work and see what you can do to apply that knowledge, what you now have as from feedback to fix your work. And let yourself, that tapping out is also forgiving yourself, not holding yourself in judgment or resentment. When you are feeling that pain or regret, you have to ask yourself if you're going to take action and change it. But I assure you, if you do, it will feel better. But tapping out, saying, man, I didn't do it, I feel regret. And instead of feeling bad about myself, I'm just going to, from this point forward, make the right choice. And then when you make that first step once again that day and you're like, man, I did the right things today. Yeah, power yourself with that. Not only am I capable of change, but I did it. Now, yeah, it was a little thing, right? We look at losing weight, right? And it's a huge thing. And so a lot of people get discouraged. But what if today you just did 5 minutes of activity that you don't normally do? You don't have 5 minutes. I think we spend 5 minutes online. We spend 5 minutes, browsing the internet. It's like, all right, from now on, I'm going to spend 5 minutes exercising. I'm going to put the brush down and do some push-ups every time I put it in the oven, right? But that can turn from 5 minutes to 10, or even grabbing some running shoes. But what happens is if you set these high goals and you I'm going to run 20 minutes a day and I'm going to do all this activity, I'm sorry, you're going to fail. But because it's too hard to change so much so quick. To be the best ceramics in the world today, no, that takes time. But if you're willing to do the time and do the little things it takes to get there, and just start with something simple, you can change that today. And it's simple enough that you start to build discipline and start to be able to add on more difficult things as you go. So step by step is how you become, the best. So that's a target goal of mine, and working to improve myself as a technician always, because I was a specialist and I've got a lot to learn. So
one more thing, I appreciate how you've shared with us, and I know you got to catch a flight in a little bit, but there's one more thing that I want to ask you. So whenever I've come to these shows, specifically we're here in LabDay, one of the things that I find is that although we're all in the industry, one way or another, right? There are different perspectives on how to see something, how to go through a particular process, whatever it is. But how important do you think it is for a dental technician that is looking to set goals and accomplish those goals to get themselves out of the day-to-day and come out to one of these shows and speak to other people that they don't usually speak to, and be around people that possibly see things from a different perspective, under a different light, maybe have had a different experience? How important do you think that is? Is it even important because of the digital age where we're in, where anybody can send a message over to somebody on Facebook or Instagram? What are your thoughts on that?
It's difficult when you use technology to touch on intuition, and perhaps there's certain feeling you get when you shake somebody's hand. There's certain feeling you get when you look somebody in the eyes and you share a smile. That's all you got. That's all you got, and you're just like, hey, how are you? And that's it. That could be that simple. But there's a connection that happens. You can't get that from a screen. You can't get that from a text. And I told you when we started this off, like, I come here to see my friends. Like, yeah, we all have some activities, and there's never enough time because we want to see everybody. We want to have interpersonal communication. If you want to be inspired, it doesn't always come from just within your own head. It's like oftentimes self-doubt comes in your own head. But then you go out and you see someone, and you hear something, or you just have the gut. A lot of people, I'm an introvert, but people in these shows think I'm an extrovert. And it's because I don't have a problem, and I'm not afraid to talk to someone and try to gain some knowledge from them and to thank them for the knowledge they've given me. Like, if somebody's giving me a little pearl of information, I try to thank them when I'm around them. Like, you know what, I learned this from you and I appreciate it. And they may not even know it. But what happens is a lot of these guys out here, they've got stuff to share, and they just want to share. And if you don't ask, they're not going to share. They're going to feel great telling you some of their secrets and some of the things they've accomplished, but they want to give it to the people who want it, and you're the ones who are going to use it. When you come into an area like this and you start shaking hands with people, there's a lot of technicians who've never been here. They don't ever do it, and it is about coming to one location as often as we can. There's a lot of different groups and stuff out there, but this is one of those locations where you can come, see people, be inspired, and pull somebody aside here and there and get some interpersonal communication. But that gives you energy. That you start to get the energy from these other people who are they're on a path. Like, they're on a path to excellence, and if you want to get on that path, you need to be walking with those same champions, right? You're walking in their same footsteps. Watch what they're doing. Watch who they're talking to. Watch, you see a great technician, who's he watching? What, should I be in there? you just make these observations. Don't reinvent the wheel. Do what other successful people do. If you want to fail, just do what failures do and quit or just observe them. But if you want to do what's something special, watch what they're doing and just do what they do, replicate what they do. And oftentimes you'll find they just do what, like in sports, we'd always say, just do what the losers won't do, right? You just make a list of all the things you see that they're unwilling to do and be willing to do them. As much as that suffering might be, like to invest in yourself is going to get you there. And so these events really are about getting information, but listening for that tidbit, that little thing you were ready for this time, right? And if it's inspiration, there's people here who will inspire you. If it's just understanding a certain issue you're having with ExoCAD, then go talk to those guys. Go watch them, and if they didn't answer the question, pull them aside and say, I'm having this problem, and get that information. But then you find that you spend all this time asking questions, suddenly people are asking you questions. And now you're returning that same favor to the people who are standing behind you. We're all in this line. We're all climbing a mountain. And the guys who made it to the top are like looking back saying, hey, keep going, it's worth it. And as they're coming down the mountain, like, you just go a little bit further. I know you're tired, but the view from the top's amazing. You just go a little further and the view just gets better. Just try for a little bit more, but another 100 yards, right? And then you find that you're getting down to the bottom, and here's these people that are following you who finally made it to the top, and they're telling the same thing to everybody behind them. You know what? Some guy told me the view's great from the top, and I see you're struggling, the day's almost over, but if you just keep going, you're going to love the view from the top, right? We're sending that same message. This is a life message, right? Some people are fast and some people are slow, but the view at the top's the same for everyone. I tell you, getting there is easier than staying. That in sports, it's not getting to the position of number one that's hard. It's remaining there. We get complacent, and we get complacent in dentistry. I've done enough. I don't need to do any more. I got enough clients. I got enough business. Right? Well, that sure sounds boring. If you're not working on yourself or doing something to improve your life, then I think, and even some of us, Victor Castro, had an issue with his health, and it changed the way that he looked at his family, changed the way that he perceives life. I wrecked my truck. Did I tell that story last year? You guys know that I went off that 100-foot cliff, and if you know the story of everything that went through my mind at that time, it'll tell you a lot about who I am as a person and how I can feel peace with knowing I'm dying because I had done enough. And I think that that sends you into a different direction, where you will spend more time with your family. You will start to realize that there are things that are more important to dentistry, and you can only do your best dentistry when you're doing those important things back home, when you're doing those important things with your health and your mind. If you're not working too many hours, you're not going to make stupid mistakes that could cost you your life. And a lot of people don't equate that. I was tired that day. I didn't fall asleep. It was 4 o'clock in the afternoon, but I was really relaxed, doing about 20 miles an hour. And you think you can't get out of control in a truck at 20 miles an hour, but I can tell you it can happen, And I was kind of leaning on the window, driving with one hand, not in four-wheel drive in off-road country. And that's kind of the point, We're making teeth, and if we work too many hours, then what are we not paying attention to? What's that little thing that we need to gather? And it could even be something about the industry, but it might be something of much more importance outside of work. So that's something I would just kind of encourage people to do. Stay healthy, take care of yourself so you can take care of other people.
Dane, we really appreciate you sitting down with us, making time, being very generous with your time. Again, I know you have to catch a flight and you decided to sit down with the Dental Today podcast. We always appreciate you on the show, and we're looking forward to seeing you soon. When can our viewers catch up with you, see you? Where are you going to be in the next 6 months? Where can we see you?
I'll be at LabDay West, whether I'm lecturing or not. Those lecture assignments haven't come out, but that's a show I go to because I have a lot of friends there, and sometimes I just go to learn. Why do I have to be seen? I'm there to learn from you guys. So, and everybody who comes shares. You could be a new technician and I'm going to learn something from you. You could be an advanced technician and I'm going to learn something from you. It's not just about me giving things to other people. This is an exchange and a process. And so I'll be at LabDay West. For anybody in Latin America, we're working on Peru, Bolivia, Argentina, Puerto Rico, and we'll see what else kind of pops up. And then within the States, I'll be at GC America at some point this summer, maybe in towards October. And that, this year I think we're going to do a digital program where we're going to sit down and actually design an exocad case, maybe a full arch case, and then we're going to layer. We'll talk about that transition for immediate load from beginning to end. But I'd like to sit down with people and show them my process for designing in a whole arch and just work. We'll sit down at the computer, we'll load up some exocad, and we're going to design an arch. And then we'll have that arch to work on for day 2. So, if that's something that interests you, you can email me, barlow.dane@yahoo.com, or you can reach out to GC America and say, let me know when that course is coming up because I'd like to attend. But if you text me or email me or look me up on Facebook, then I'll make sure that you get the information and put that program together. But it'd be great to know what you guys want to hear. If there's something you guys want to learn and I'm missing the boat, tell me. And if it's something I do, or if it's something I have within the technicians that I work with, or doctors in Boise, then we'll bring those doctors and technicians out and put that program together. We could do a joint prosthodontics, and have them teaching something for doctors and technicians side by side if you want, with design and how we implement digital from start to finish on a full arch case, immediate load style. So I think it would be exciting, it'd be fun to do. And then Quint Whipple, I don't know if you've interviewed Quint. Quint would be great to listen to. He's a great, fun guy. We thought about putting down a program together this year called Anything and Everything in 3 different languages. And if you consider digital a 4th language, it'll be 4 languages. And it's just going to be getting together and playing ceramics, playing technicians for a day, and question and answer. And what do you want to do? We'll be there. What do you want to learn? Let's go grab these materials and do it. I think that could be something. It's a little more relaxing environment, be fun to attend. So if that interests you, let us know, and we'll tell GC to set it up. Me and Quint will come out, and we'll be there. We're both on the board of directors for the American Academy of Cosmetic Dentistry. We're both open books, anything you want to ask. And so that would be a great environment. Just sit down and just say, all right, what do you want? And we'll just go grab those materials and we'll make it happen. And we'll have those experiences of application and learning together. And we'll just open the whole book, and you can have whatever you want. So I think those are the majors. And so I look forward to seeing you out there. Don't be a stranger. Always say hi. I love to stop and at least shake a hand, even if I'm on my way. And if there's something more you need and we can't get to it personally, but reach out to me. I some people read about some events that happened to me more recently and what I've been going through, and my friends are contacting me on Facebook, making sure I'm okay. Hey, I'm there as well for you guys. If there's anything that you need to talk about, you can reach out to me and we can chat, and start that process of getting through stuff together and leaving our baggage behind. But I'm always available. And if I can't get back to you right away, I always get back to those messages, even though they start to pile up. So anyway, guys, I look forward to talking to you and seeing you in the future. Thank you, Hezekiah. Thank you, LabMediatv, GC, and those that support me.
Thank you for being with us. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.
I will.